Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and by George, we're right into elections. I mean, people are signing up. I mean, they got deadlines, something like the 24th of August, and here in the major city, Portland, Oregon, the swamp area. The swamp area. And John, my guest, will probably share with you who he is. Once you see him, you know what I'm talking about. John's been on the show for a number of times, but he's also run for office on a number of occasions and with the issues. And and it's kind of like saying something, and he's been being consistent because he's very familiar with them. So anyway, we're going to start off basically, and I'm basically saying to the folks who are out there who have either signed up to run for office, city council, Multnomah County, just to name a couple of the major ones, and I call that the swamp aspect of it because this is the major city, it's the largest city in the state of Oregon, and it's a very important one, and normally all your major issues come from these areas. And two of the major elected areas are basically, i.e. with the community, with people, is basically between the city and the county.
Right.
And that's where all the things are. And John probably, he'll go into it because he's running for office, but he's been pretty consistent about who he is and what he's running for, and he pretty well know what all of the issues are. He's been in boot camp in that area for quite some time, so we're getting right down to it. And I'm suggesting to those of you who are interested in running for office, make sure that if you do file to run for office, you know what your issues are, and you know some solutions for the issues. That's important. Also, make sure that you understand your definition as far as a candidate. All candidates and those individuals who are elected to office are employees of the voters. Okay, remember that. That's very important. The employers are the constituency, the voters. Even though the people that are running for office are both the candidate and a voter. In many ways, they're voting for themselves initially, but the bottom line is that that's a very important piece, by the way, because too often we've kind of gotten off of it, because a lot of times the definition of running for office is that who's picking up the tab? Who's picking up the tab? And in most cases, the majority of the time, is that a lot of these seats have been bought. And then a lot of times, some folks recognize it, some folks don't. But the fact of the matter is that, and there's a reason for that. And we're not trying to run those individuals that are not interested in the that are basically saying no, we're not running, but even though we're supporting the candidate, got me? But the fact of the matter is, it's about the issues. And most of the folks who are running are kind of like, use a military term, boot camp. Because when they get through, let's say if they're successful in running, in most cases, they've got to go to boot camp. And like I said, I'm making that point because John's been around for a number of years. He's always addressed the issues. He got elected for one particular board at one point in time. It was a school, kind of the ESD, Educational Service District. He was appointed. He was elected to that particular position. He got that seat aspect of it. But on the other hand, he's always been here, consistent and persistent about what the issues were and solutions. He's always talked about it that way, and that's why I'm starting this off with him. And I'm saying to other candidates, you're invited to come. All you have to do is just give us a call here at our community television network called Open Signal. Okay, and beforehand it was PCM. Portland Community Television. They should go back to the original name, Portland Community Television. Okay, but anyway, this is where we are, community. So what we're going to do is we're going to give John the opportunity to share with you one what position he's running for, why is he running it, and cite the issues that are relative to that particular entity area that he's running in, and we'll go from there. Sounds good? Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing today?
Sounds good to me. Glad you're here. And again, like I said, don't forget, there's a format you might want to consider using it. Like I said, just make sure you know what your lane is, and make sure that you know what the issues are and you have solutions, and with the understanding that you will stick with those if you're in an arena to basically, if you're in a position to win the seat. But sometimes that can get very difficult, because if you now have the experience, et cetera, to be able to avoid that, i.e. graduating from boot camp, you'll be in boot camp and you'll end up basically running for that particular period, and depending upon how much you can address the issues that we're into right now. Mm-hmm. And we got some major issues right now, and I would suggest that you make sure you follow it, and you can maybe understand the format that John is running with, and some of the questions I might be asking. Well, that's the plan of the day. So I'm getting right back to him again, and then I'm going to set aside to a certain degree. All right, John, let's talk about today. You're running for office. Which office are you running for? And give them a little history in terms of how you were involved with the issues that you've identified as to what our major issues are concerned, and the solutions. Fair?
Okay. I'm John Sweeney, native Oregonian and longtime Portland resident, and I was with the Portland Parks for almost 33 years, and the Army National Guard, Army Reserve, and Army National Guard for almost 28 years, and I was on the Multnomah Education Service District Board for 2 terms, 8 years, and all that was really interesting. And with the city, I started as a laborer and retired as a supervisor. In the military, I started as a private E1 and retired as a captain. And both of them were interesting and pleasurable most of the time. So anyway, basically, I'm going to put forth 3 issues to support, and one of them is to preserve as many city services as possible. Now, and this is going to be difficult not only for the city of Portland, but other bureaus, other government agencies, because the downtown properties, you have 20-story office buildings all boarded up, and the property values have dropped over 70%. So buildings that sold for $500, $600 million about 5-10 years ago are selling for $50 million. And so what they do is they go to the Board of Equalization and they get the taxes reduced. And this will affect the City of Portland, Multnomah County, Metro, Portland Public Schools, Multnomah Education Service District, Portland Community College, and the East and West Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and probably some of the drainage districts too. So it's not going to be nice, and we have more services coming on, and in fact that like public safety, the chief of police says the wait times for major priority calls could be 20 minutes. And Bruce was in Vietnam, and now I was never in war, but I was in touchy things, and 3 minutes could be forever, and they're talking about 20 minutes wait time is just insane. So one thing I'd like to do is also reinstitute the Portland Police Reserve, so that there'd be a little more out there to protect the citizens. And there are other services that also have to be preserved, the parks and streets and all that kind of stuff. And but like I said, you get an idea if you look at your property tax statement. You'll see have it listed on what's going to be the problem. The other thing is the homeless, houseless problem. Now, in 1983, the citizens of Multnomah County approved Resolution A. Now, prior to that, Multnomah County was a full-service government like the city of Portland, but that changed, and the cities gave up the social services, and Multnomah County took over all the welfare services, and they took over the bridges because nobody wanted the bridges, and they took over the jails because it used to be Portland had their own jail. And so, and with the county taking over, you have one group running the problem and the program, and because now you have several cities and counties, and I think the metros in a little bit, and so you have all these people who are trying to cooperate and all that, and you get the egos get in the way, and they want to be able to tell the people, we're doing more for you than the other guy is. And so we have the county do that. And in fact, actually, I would like to see that nationally that the welfare would be run by the counties, and so that somebody who's suddenly their world collapses, they can go to the county, and this is whether it's a single person or somebody with a family, and they could sit down and talk about the resources that's available to them besides the county for the welfare, and have state employment offices co-located so that they could possibly get them employed somewhere else right away. And so that they would know, like in Portland would be the Salvation Army and the Goodwill and the Sunshine Division and the churches that are running some charity programs and other groups, so that you could see where you're going to get help. Because usually it's people that really get hurt when the world collapses is somebody who's been playing by the rules and been working for years and decades, and all of a sudden their world just evaporates. And so that would be the thing, to have the homeless program that way. In fact, one of the problems is that we're actually having people imported, and I saw 3 reports in the mail where they would show up, and different, I think it was South Carolina was one of them. They went up to a woman and says, well, how'd you like to live in Portland, Oregon? Well, sure. Well, they'd gone past TSA and on the Red Owl, and here they are. And in fact, there's a program in St. Helens that's for Native Americans, and people go there, and if they pass the program, it's fine. If they wash out, they give them a bus ticket to Portland. And so that's why it's increasing, is that they're importing some of those people. Now, I remember several years ago on 60 Minutes, and Maury Safer, now he's passed away, so I was talking a long time ago, and that was kind of a program that they had with a lot of the psychological organizations, that they'd service them for so long, and then they would put them on the bus, and they called it Greyhound therapy. And so they would shift them off to another place. And so that's one of the problems, is that we're getting more people. Now, in my time with the Park Bureau, the fact that for people who were homeless with their grapevine, the best place to go on the West Coast was Portland, Oregon. And in fact, there was Gene McMaster who used to ask for sleeping bags and blankets in the fall, and we would go out ever so often and pick all that stuff up, with rubber gloves and grabbers and all that, and we'd fill a 1-ton dump truck, which has got a bed that's about 7 feet wide and 10 feet long, and it'd be about 2-3 feet deep, and we'd take that to the dump, and then they would charge you, so the taxpayer would have to pay for that. And so these programs aren't that good. And I was talking with some people. I said, well, these 20-story office buildings, 10-story office buildings, a lot of them, the interior walls are removable. So the fact that you can remove these, and all the floors have drinking fountains and restrooms, and that can be expanded into showers and washing facilities, and they be able to mark out 20 by 20 foot spots for each one of them, and they can have an interior campground and have different levels for different groups. And they have, almost all of them have a cafeteria, so you could serve them 2 meals a day, and that would help them out, and that would give them an address, and that would really help a lot of them, is having an address. So if you get living out of your car, you want to go to FedEx or UPS and get yourself a mailbox so you can get your correspondence from your insurance and driver's license and friends, so it would give you contact with the outside world besides your cell phone. And so, but anyway, these buildings could be used as basically interior campgrounds. And the thing is that we want to actually phase this out. Having a big homeless program go on for decades is not very good, because that will degrade the livability of your city or your county. And in fact, one of the main complaints about a lot of the homeless people is they're messy. And then a lot of them get desperate and start committing crimes against you. And as long as they just steal your stuff, it's fine. But once in a while, you run into them head on, and a lot of them carry knives, and a knife injury is really a pretty traumatic thing, because the scars, both emotional and physical, can last a long time. Mm-hmm. Then the other thing you're going to have to just live with is the Blazers. The Blazers are going to leave. It's not a matter of if, it's a question of when. And we talk about people around here as being millionaires and billionaires. You're dealing with trillionaires, and they've got lots of money. And even if they sign a contract for a long time and they decide to leave, they can leave. And I've got an argument with somebody who says, well, we can sue them for breach of contract. I says, that's true. And when they have to pay up, they'll pay it out of petty cash, because they have so much money. And in fact, we're small potatoes in the big picture, because Oregon has 1.3% of the total United States population, and that's pretty small. And in fact, to give you an idea how that worked out, in 1977, when the Blazers won the championship, if Philly had won, they would have crowed for an hour and a half, 2 hours after the game. But what they do to us, they said we'll join normal network programming, and they cut into the movie Heidi. And I was just sick over that, and I'm not a basketball fan, but I just thought my family and friends got cheated, and really upset me. So.
Okay. Is that it?
Well, that's a spiel so far. We can go into other subjects.
Okay.
Well,
the other major issue is homelessness. I mean, that's been on the table for quite some time.
Yeah.
And that was associated with the mayor, right?
Right.
Initially, and he gave a crack at it. In fact, that was his platform. The whole idea he was going to get rid of all of the homeless.
Right. And it really started.
That didn't happen.
Yeah. Really started building up with Bud Clark when he got in.
Yeah, but still, I'm talking about now, presently.
Yeah, but that's when it started really building up. And so now the thing is, like I said, they're importing them, and you have to look at it as the poverty industrial complex, because these people have it here, and they're getting paid for it big money, and the more people down the line that they're paying for, the better it is for them, and not good for us as citizens.
What's the solution now? We still have to hear. What do we do? The mayor is focusing on the Blazers.
Well,
at this one time,
we have to take some steps to improve our economy, because when in the 2020 when COVID hit, there's a lot of businesses that closed up. Now, if you were working for a big company or something and they survived and you went to apply for unemployment, no problem. But if you worked for somebody that was out of business and unemployment, people would say, well, there's no contact, because there was no longer an email, there's no longer a phone, and some people even went in with pay stubs, and they said that's not satisfying for us, and so some people battled for a couple of years. It's bad enough that you say you get laid off, and you have to apply for unemployment, and then you wait to 3 weeks and start drawing unemployment for a while. But the thing is that if it disappears and there's nothing, you're in real trouble. And in fact, the State Employment Division was given money for a computer, and they didn't buy a new computer. and of course, this kind of thing is there's always another one down the line. But the thing is, they didn't buy one that would help people, and there was this, there's thousands of business which went out of business, and suddenly you had thousands and thousands of people all of a sudden didn't have a reference point to get their benefits for unemployment that they had earned.
Mm-hmm.
So to recover from this, we need to get our economy back up, and it's coming up slow, and a lot of people are avoiding going downtown, and a lot of the new jobs are working at home, working off station. And of course, some of them, their employees are actually working in Washington, and they're not paying income tax either. So,
okay, that's your answer to the solution.
So that
you said economy, but what's your definition of economy? How are you going to attract businesses to come here?
Yeah. Well, it seems like you help the big businesses and give them write-offs and stuff, and then when the tax write-off comes to the end, they leave. Remember, there was down in Taggart, there was a call center down there, and they were down there for 10 years, and everybody got comfortable and things were going along. And when the tax benefits went away, why, they left. In fact, you come out a lot of places and you see these great big buildings sitting there, and that was somebody, because of the tax write-offs and exemptions, they could build a big building and use it for different purposes. And then when the tax advantages disappear, they could just get up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, there's a lot of big buildings around that you'll find that were warehouses or call centers or something like that, and people just abandoned them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to actually, what they need to do nationally is stop doing that. So you have people going to move in to an area so that it be the lifestyle for their employees and schools for their children and all kinds of things where they want to stabilize the population, and having it where you could actually have home ownership become something. Then you have a tendency for people to stay put, because I have a few friends who bought a new house every few years, and let me tell you, I only bought one house, and I did not like the process. Some people, they go through that every 5 years. Well, I got this kind of deal, that kind of deal. I says, every time I turn around, there's no soft hand out there wanting more money. I was just about ready to step on the next hand that stuck out there. But we need to improve the economy and improve the livability, and that's be a big help to bring our society up.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is that I don't like the word community, because everybody says it's to bring you together. No, it was to bring you down, and because if you look at certain groups, they think they're a community and they're not. They're a society, like the American society, because you got poor people and you got rich people, and you've already had poor people, and it's just like they want to do away with crime. Well, there's always been crime. So the thing is that you have to look at it. You're in a society, and not really as a community.
Okay.
Because
well, one last question. What about public safety?
Well, this is okay.
Yeah,
well, like the chief of police said, their wait times and their priority calls could be up to 20 minutes. And if somebody's pounding on your door, well, you don't want to wait 20 minutes. And even if you have a firearm, you really don't want to have to shoot somebody, because if you do, and by the time it's over, you'll know more about them than you know about yourself, because it'd be never had to shoot anybody in civilian life, and I understand it's quite a traumatic deal, even when you win. And there's some things that they do. You talk about the importance of when to shoot. It's also important to, when you stop shooting, because if they turn and leave, you have to stop shooting. Otherwise, you got the wrong DA. They may try to tag you for murder or manslaughter or something like that. But but the thing is to have more places you can afford it, and I think that we could reinstitute the Portland Police Reserve. And in fact, a reason to say that is that the sheriff of Clackamas County just retired, and she started as a reserve deputy. And those are people who would come from the cities and the counties who are here and then go up, rather than, say, a lot of times people would go into low-paying organizations, and Portland in the big picture is relatively low paid, and so they get some experience, then they go somewhere else. And so we would be paying for the training for officers that would turn around going to Vegas or to LA or some other place, because they'd have 2-3 years experience. But the deal is, my wife's was a civilian employee with Portland Police, and it wasn't that long ago the average time on the street was 5 years, and in police work, if you only have 5 years, you're pretty green. It's just like in a military unit, you get a new guy. The deal is they're pretty green.
Okay.
And you need somebody with experience.
Mm-hmm. So what about the Blazers? Going back to the Blazers for a moment, you talked about is there any possibility of what do you see the aftermath if the Blazers are gone? What do you see as far as the other renters or leasers or whatever? You got Portland Fire, right? You got Portland Fire. You got hockey. Anything else that you think of?
Well, if you talk about the Motor Center,
yeah.
Well,
got about a minute.
Yeah. Well, most of the hockey stuff is in Memorial Coliseum. And in fact, there was a presentation event, and they had covered the ice rink and sat down there, and while they're doing the presentation, and everything from the butt up was kind of warm, but from the knees down, it was pretty cold, because you could feel the heat or the cold radiating through the floor. And we can attract other venues, and there's because there's, we have other venues, and we can get other games and to be part of, because we get other sports to come in. They could have highlight, and they can have they have arena football, and which is a pretty interesting game to watch. Especially if you could, they show enough of the field, but that would be the thing, is to have other venues come in, and
so we'll keep the building. The idea, we want to keep the building, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is that, and they're talking about all this overhaul for this building. It's not an old building. It still stinks new. See, and they come in here and they want to make all these changes. In fact, in
getting short on time.
Huh?
Getting short on time. We'll do some more time there.
Okay. Well, in Florida,
real close.
A city built a stadium, and the football team didn't show up. So they asked the other teams if they're interested, and they talked about so many changes to it. Consensus of opinion is you tear it down and build another one. And we're talking about a stadium that never had a game in it. So these leagues, and they have it that they, regardless of what the game is, no local ownership. And there's only one team that's locally owned, and that's the Green Bay Packers. And that's what they use as an example.
Okay.
In fact, if you go to the game, I went to a game.
I got to cut you off. I got to cut you off. I gave you a little over 30 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll do more next time around.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that the folks who are viewing, and if you're running for office, like I said, be prepared. Make sure you're very specific in terms of what the issues are and the solution to the issues. Because that's what the taxpayers are looking for.
Yeah.
And as long as they're not picking up the tab, that's going to be another interesting thing you need to talk about. Okay. Good. All right. We're going to have another guest here. We're going to have Bob Williams going to be around. He's been around in politics for quite some time, and we're going to talk about this issue because that's really where we are right now. We're focused on city issues and things of that nature to begin with. So we'll have him kind of respond a little bit to some of what John says and what he thinks about the area. He's very well equipped. He just left his group, if you will, not too long ago. On the golf course. That's how he gets his stresses off. Okay,
you're gonna have him take over.
Yeah. Let him get going. Okay, good. This is your goodies right there. Okay, good. All right, Bob, come on. Thank you, sir. You got the Air Force. We got the National Guard. We got the National Guard going out for a moment. Don, thanks again for your information there. Again, we're right in the midst of election.
Yes,
Bob, you got a lot of history in that piece of it. We want to stay focused on the swamp. You know, we got the swamp here now, and John is running. As you see, he's running for city council aspect of it. We'll have some other candidates like the county, but it's all between the county and the city. This is where all the action is.
Right.
This is the living room aspect of it. And you, John, I'm sorry, but Bob has been involved in this issue for quite some time. You know, he's been with Big Blue. He's been with the unions. The unions are a very major entity within all of the situations that's being talked about, because those are the workers.
That's it.
That's the workers, not the administration side. The workers, and that's where most of the taxpayers are.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you guys have been Bob has been in this business for quite some time. He retired, if you will, from the union, but he stays very active in politics. As you know, he's been here on the Voters Digest for quite some time, so he's got he's out of boot camp on that end of it. So he knows that business. So I rely on him, and the Voters Digest relies on him because he's been involved and he's kept to date on most of that stuff. Even though he lives in Clackamas County, but he's very much involved in knowing what the swamp is all about.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a very active swamp. And the Voters Digest, we concentrate on it for quite some time. So welcome, Bob.
Hey, it's good to be here, Bruce.
Okay, good. Well, in fact, why don't we just go on and give you the opportunity, just jump right on in this piece aspect of it. What do you see now? We've got the lay of the land of the swamp.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of issues there, a lot of problems, whatever. It's going to be quite an election. And do you think we're going to have enough candidates for what you've seen? Because really the deadline is the 24th, and then from that point on, now we've got all the folks who are going to be running for office, and so we need to make sure we get some good, responsible people. We need leaders in both the county and the city for sure. If in fact we're going to kind of break this issue.
Bruce, before we jump into the swamp, I'm still trying to figure out what in the world made Portland, Oregon decide they need 15 city councilors when they were in debt with 5.
Well, 12, but I noticed you included the mayor.
They're in debt with 5.
Yep.
And then they go, and so I'm still trying to figure that out. But the other part is I've had some dealings with this city council because I serve on the board for the park districts as far as golf is concerned. Give you a little history on that in about 2 minutes here. And that is I went on this board and found out that we were in debt because we had to take out a loan to have some things done to golf courses, and we were paying that loan back. Now, there's no tax dollars that go into golf courses.
They got fees, right? It's all about fees, right?
It's all about fees. And what we make is what we use to keep the courses up.
That's the definition of it, really?
And so what happened is when I came on, we decided to start called a rainy day fund, i.e. let's not spend every nickel that come in, let's save it. Because it cost, just to give you an idea, to put in a small green on a golf course will cost you maybe $25,000. So just imagine there's 18 of those, and they're not all small.
That's 18 holes.
There's 18 holes with 18
for one golf
course, and we have 5.
Yeah, 5 of them.
Golf courses.
Okay, that's the budget.
So we start saving money about 6-7 years ago. We had money put aside to do things like put bathrooms on these golf courses.
Mm-hmm.
If a woman needs to go to the bathroom on one of the city golf courses, it's kind of hard for her. You know, we men can find a tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know, so
right.
we were looking at putting bathrooms on the golf courses. Well, this city council just said, "Whoa, they got money over here. We have a deficit, so we're going to take $3 million of their money
You talking about now, currently?
now,
Current.
this year."
Okay, current.
And so they took $3 million. But not only did they take $3 million of that money, they came back and said, well, when we run for election, we have a pool over here for people that's running for election that can get money to run, right?
Yeah.
So they came and took another $300 and some thousand of the money and put it in that.
And these are the individuals that are running for city council.
Yeah.
And then basically go out and
They can go to that
5
fund.
to 1 or something like that.
They can go to that fund
Well,
and
get
get
that
up
money.
to $50,000.
Do
or
they put the
something.
money back?
Are you kidding? And so I'm on that committee that deals with the city council. I chair that
That's for
committee.
that's for the entire city.
So I've been waiting for my opportunity to meet and explain to them what they did to us, to golfers. What they're telling telling golfers, you're not worthy. The money that you spend here, we can determine what we want to do with it. It's not
who's
for
calling
your
the shot?
benefit.
Is that the mayor or is that
No,
the
that was the city council.
Like which one?
They voted. I am proud to say that the 3 that have been on city council in the past, Novak, Smith, and is it Brian?
Dan.
Dan, and Dan, they voted against it.
Wow.
All those new people with no knowledge voted for it because all they saw was low-hanging fruit. And so
First time though.
First
too.
time.
In boot camp. They're in boot camp.
they're in boot camp. They have no clue.
That's right. Okay.
They couldn't even vote on who to make the chair of the council.
Yeah.
Look how long it took them to do that.
Yeah.
So my question to the people of the city is, what are they doing for you? I mean, I haven't seen any. I watch them when they're on TV, and I haven't seen anything that they've done to help the citizens yet. And maybe you can enlighten me, but I'm like, man, I'm glad.
Because you're paying your way.
Yes.
And the folks who are basically paying golf, I mean,
They pay for the upkeep of the golf
That's
courses.
right, so they're paying.
And they come and take the money.
Wow.
So that's one. The other thing is, from what I can see, you had 15 people running for the city council with no knowledge. Well, I shouldn't say 15.
12.
They had 12 running with no knowledge.
4 districts. We got 4 districts.
Yeah. And of those 12 with no knowledge, what have they learned?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing for their communities? I haven't seen anything, and I know the Oregonian is looking for stories, and...
But who do they represent?
Yeah. So who is it business?
Yeah.
Or is it the people? Or is it both? And if it's both, what are they doing for both? And so that's my thing with the city council. I personally, if I lived in Portland, Oregon, I'd be running with a petition to reduce the number of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, why do you need 15 different, if you got 15 different
12.
opinions.
12 of them.
Well, 12, I thought it was
12, three for 4 districts. You got 4 districts.
Oh,
Three-
4
three-
different
three commissioners,
and
right.
okay, the 12 of them. My question would be, why do you need 12 people to make a decision that maybe 8 could make, or 7, and with the mayor being
Well, that's the 13th number. See, it's 12
Yeah.
plus 1.
plus 1, plus you got
city
but you got
manager,
2
too.
city man, you got a city manager and an
But-
assistant city manager.
Yeah, but-
You got all this other new staff in there.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, if you're in debt, why would you go and make a bill for an extra $3 million
Well, where did the money go?
to pay the people that my three million?
Yeah.
It went to offset the deficit on some budget.
You don't have any idea what?
I got mad and I quit. I stopped looking because they had taken the money. and I don't know what they've done with it. So, but that
Well, right now, you know, the Trailblazer piece. I mean, it might have gone in that pot of money. You never know.
when the Trailblazers came and said when he bought the Trailblazers and he started firing people, I went, they're looking to move.
Yeah.
They're looking to break the ties within this city so that they don't have anyone here to lay claim to, and they can move. And so I looked at that. But then if you had owned a house and I wanted to buy it, and I came to you and said, well, you need to repair this house before I buy it, and it's going to cost $250,000. I'm just the house, $250,000. What are you going to say? What? What is this going for?
Yeah.
What have you done to look at this to come up with the total you did? $637 million. What have you done to show me where this money is going? Well, we don't even have an architect yet. Then how did you come up with that amount of money?
Well, I agree with you. In fact, I'd add one other point, because I was in the housing people at one point in time. I would have said to the person, well, okay, fine. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to spec it out in terms of what you deal. But then the price just went up. That's right. For the house. Yeah. And plus the fact you have to pick up that front money for the architect coming in to spec it out. Yes. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And then just keep it simple, because you're not going to put no money into something.
As a union rep, when I would negotiate a contract, I would love to have someone on the other side of the table that had no clue. Yeah. And you have a city council and a group of people that don't negotiate contracts, and I'm laughing. I'm looking at them and I'm going, they're not even asking the right questions. You know. Well, if we do this, you have to sign something saying you're gonna be here for the next 20 years. Yeah. Okay. I'll sign it. Yeah. But then if I end up staying here another 6 or 7, I've made enough money to buy myself out for you to sue me and for me to go to a more lucrative situation. Yeah. You know, I mean, this community love the Blazers, but just like Seattle said, hey, if you're going to take them, take them. We can survive, and they did. Maybe we should be looking for some other entities, a baseball team.
Well, they got another football.
You got right now. Lloyd Center is dead. Right? Is that large enough to put a baseball?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
That's the next rung that's coming up. You know that. That's
I mean, you got we put TriMet. I was on the board when we put the Max right by Lloyd Center for a reason. People could get there easily. You know, I mean, we have to have some thinkers that are supposed to be leaders in this community, but most of them are followers. They're following what somebody else is saying that's not a part of what the dealing that's being done. And it's time for we who are citizens to stop depending on those that don't do anything to do something.
Well, think about that now. Before they came into that ranked choice voting, that was the issue, and they put together a committee. Yeah. And then you look at the composition of that committee. Who appointed those individuals to come up with the guidelines, i.e. for creating this ranked choice voting and putting the 4 districts together and coming up with the 12 folks, right? Right. That whole deal. And even the city manager deal and even the mayor aspect of it. And then we end up with, in all due respect, we gave everybody a boost in the salaries.
A large boost.
A large boost, and so consequently we're right into into this depression where they went. People ran for that money to start with.
Sure, they did.
But also, business kind of felt that they had it pretty well knocked. Yeah. And but then that selection committee, when you think about that selection committee, you would have thought that the mayor would have still been able to break the tie, and but that wasn't there. They took that out.
They took it out.
So you look at the composition of the people that were selected, and each city commissioner had a way
They had their own agenda.
No, they identified. Well, they picked their people. I think they had 2 or 3 or whatever
Yeah.
on the committee. The mayor had his side, so they put all that piece together before they got away from the city.
Right.
We had a good, comfortable
Oh
piece.
yeah.
And then you got the city manager that's there. So in all due respect, he's a paid entity, but realistically, he's got more experience
And all of them.
in all of them, i.e. the new mayor. Okay, and then we got the new elected mayor, who didn't have the background. Got it?
Right.
But in all due respect, the business community basically bought his piece, and they got on, as you know.
Right. He was a
Channel 2.
businessman, so they brought in one of their own.
And he could talk.
Yeah.
He talked. Keith's a good talker,
Sure.
good talker, and he's a businessman aspect of it. But the business community bought that, and so you had that. He didn't have the really experience. He had some other experience from the business. He knew trucking, all the electrical stuff, but then all of a sudden it got him in there. But they forgot about these other pieces. They didn't make sure that one, he broke the tie. He was still the
Yeah.
chairperson of that new group that's
Right.
coming in.
And where is he doing the meetings?
He can't do
He
anything.
can't do anything.
Can't do
I mean,
anything.
I mean, you elect a person to be the leader of your community,
Yeah.
and then you take all this power away.
We got 12 leaders now.
Yeah, and they can't even decide anything together.
Well, but like you said,
And then they call themselves certain little groups.
yep.
You know,
Yep.
once you start that division lasts a long time.
Well, the thing is, like you said, we've both been in the boot camp piece.
Oh, yeah.
When we graduated, we had a job. But in all due respect, they're in boot camp now. See what I'm saying?
No, they got a job in doing boot camp.
Well,
They have a job,
yeah, protecting
but
their own.
they got a
their
job.
own job. Their
Yeah.
own job. They 100 at about 200,000 a crack.
Yeah.
And they got a raise. So after they got elected,
Got a raise.
yeah, they basically made the decision, and they voted themselves a raise and and got more staff members. Okay?
Right.
And so spending all of their time basically downtown Portland, and not really in the district. And they, and I'm in district number 2, and I don't know who my committee,
Who are your
my
three?
city council. Hey, look here, they all supposed to get. They should have divided each district into thirds. And give them definite boundaries and knock on these doors.
But they have no. What's bad is you elected all these people with no responsibility.
Yeah, that's right.
They have no responsibility to the community.
Yeah, but guess what? Remember now, the guy who was basically putting all that piece together was making over $300,000 to put that piece together for the city. What was his name? Jordan.
Jordan.
And the thing, so consequently, he got his salary, and after a while, he said, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, and well, I think is that the one that used to be the commissioner for Clackamas County?
I don't know about that.
I think he was a commissioner.
But he was working for the city. He was working for the city.
Okay.
And he was the one that basically carried the ball based on what he was told to do. And they thought it was going to work.
Yeah.
But you would have thought people would have recognized the fact we're going into this new election process. And that new election process, in all due respect, brought in community. Before, and they never had a say. And so the only people that was able to run around knocking on doors were some young folks.
Right.
You know, but they had a lane, but it was restrictive because they really didn't have access to the old committee.
Well, the thing that happened in the beginning for me was that a number of these people were active in something in their community.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so they had
Yeah,
name
that
familiarity.
platform. Yeah.
And so they didn't have to be number 1 on the
No,
ballot. They
no.
could be number 2.
Yeah.
And enough number 2s made you number 1.
Yeah.
Made you get elected, one of the 3.
So it always goes back
So-
down to who put that piece together to
Yeah.
begin with. They didn't do that. No, the ones who were there,
Right.
they didn't do that.
Right.
And the only those other 3 individuals that had some experience with Loretta and Dan Ryan and
Novak.
Novak aspect of it, at least they had some idea of the past. you know?
Right.
And in all due respect, when they campaigned for the mayorship, we all saw it on Channel 2.
Yeah.
These people were pretty well set up. Any one of those other individuals who was commissioned could have had more experience than Keith.
Right.
And so Keith was the only one that was there. Everybody else didn't have. everybody else, you had experience from the city council, but they didn't elect anybody from the city council because each one of them had a platform.
Sure.
Because they were working on housing, even homeless thing, and this at the time, and they had some direction. But they were also supervising those hirees. Once Keith got elected to office, boom, there was no one there, to tell those commissioners, or if not, that single out. In fact, if either I think you or I both, had we been there, we would have said, okay, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take charge of this boot camp situation, and and the chairman of that committee, we're going to set up a deal, and we're going to get those 3 senior people to sit there and oversee.
And understand what you're in.
That's right, and you can only
don't just come in here assuming.
Yes,
we want you to have knowledge
and use the 3 commissioners that had background to be the spokesperson to educate them a bit. In boot camp, right, kind of like the instructors. Sure. Got me? And then do it that way, and even in all due respect, even have the mayor there. Because the mayor, I mean, Keith, don't get me wrong, he's a heck of a talker, because he's doing everything he can.
But he can't do anything.
He can't do anything. In fact, he couldn't even, he ran, the platform he ran on, he couldn't perform.
No.
Because everybody knew there's no way in the world he's going to get rid of that many homeless folks. I mean, the borderline is sitting right there in Washington, Vancouver, and they just come right on in.
Well,
in fact, they advertise it all over the place.
We have to remember that years ago, cities around us said our homelessness is getting out of hand. Is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
We're going to give people a one-way ticket to Oregon because they take care of them.
Yeah, and they advertise it.
And and so they came here.
Yeah.
And after a while, the city began to realize, wait a minute, they're in our downtown, they're on our streets everywhere, and they got tents up. Where are these people getting money for tents? No one ever said that the reason these people had tents was because the county was giving them tents. So now they got a tent to go put into the city. And so they were fighting, here's the county over here, here's the city over here, they're not talking to each other. And one is trying to get rid of the homeless people out the city, the other one is giving them the opportunity to stay. I mean, I sat in Clackamas was climbing and laughed.
And the county had all kinds of money, but in all due respect, the person who was controlling that money had no experience. They were just handing the money out. Free needles, all that kind of stuff. Free needles and anything you want.
We got to show that we're doing something with the money we're receiving.
That's right. In fact, we're gonna even put some money to show you how to use the needle.
And then they find out that there's pockets of money over here that was never used.
$100 million.
I'm like, how do you get $100 million and then 3 years, 4 years later, you find out it was never used? What's wrong with your auditor? What's wrong with you got people in the city that are supposed to know these things. I mean, Bob, I just look at it and I go.
You look at the people you'd be surprised. I know you're going to do this research now. You look at the people who are running for District 2. It's the only one, that and the chair.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the chair, and you can pretty well see you got some pretty heavy leadership with Julia. I mean, she's been involved, let's put it that way. And she speaks publicly, which is good. At least you have some idea of what's going down.
Right.
But when you think of it, but I'm looking at this, that's why I jumped in. When you look at the people who are running now for that position, the position,
number 2.
Because the young lady that was there, she had no background to start with, but it was just running.
Right.
And then I tried to get, anyway, but the bottom line is that the people who are running now, the COO of the county, Chief Operating Officer, is running for District 2, who was making $280,000.
And he's going to take a job
She's going to take
a job for 135.
100.
Well, they got a raise, so
$150,000. She's running for that. And then the head of the mental health, he's been there 30 years. He's running, and then he's making more than that. So the key is that what's going on is as if to say they're trying to put some teams together You know what I mean? To run the county, because that's all the money is. Because you can tax taxpayers every day of the week, because they got the housing tax. They do the housing stuff and this, that, and the other. And so here they're arguing about the money. In all due respect, luckily the Edwards is there now because it's becoming out more public. And they say, "Oh no, it's about community."
Right.
They're making that statement, and you know, and I got to say to Peterson, you know, she tried, but in all due respect, you look at her background and whatever, it's tough. She was still in boot camp. She couldn't do anything. Well, but she's gone.
When the other commissioners were were against her, I mean, everything she said looked like somebody was against.
But guess what though? But she had the power.
Yeah.
She had to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, it stopped. That former government said that the chair signs the check. So she put her little team in, signing the checks aspect of it, and the others couldn't do nothing.
Right.
And I'm looking at and then the former mayor of Gresham.
Oh,
he's there, and you know he didn't back, but the fire mayor, he jumped to that seat, make more money aspect of it. And I'm looking at this situation, and he can't pretty well say anything because he doesn't have the background.
Right.
He doesn't have the background.
No.
And then
I mean, he was out in Gresham.
Yes.
And he did a good job in Gresham.
Yeah, but that's not the
that's not the county.
And you look at the budget, and you look at that budget and what he had to do. So he's just kind of trying to be as quiet as he can. But Julia and them, those two women, they're making. He's got to say something, and he can't say anything.
Right.
And then so Peterson is there because she has the one vote that runs the whole deal. She got the total votes. Whether the other two commissioners, she signs the checks.
Right.
Okay.
And can hold things up.
She can hold things up.
And that's the power.
And luckily,
she can hold.
And luckily, she's
up.
there. We really the taxpayer would really be in trouble because the taxes would be going up big time.
Well, my question is this: just because someone runs a company, what make you think they are politically astute?
No.
I mean, haven't we learned anything from our president?
Well, in all due respect, the business community is politically astute. They're the one that buy.
Well, they're politically astute as far as making money.
No, but that's the economy, though. You can't. You got to keep that economy in. It's just that we've not had any kind of leadership that will sit down and make sure that their role is that this, that, and the other. Don't avoid, if you will, the taxpayers, the purchasers, right? The people who are buying the goods. So that needs to be visited. We don't have no leadership to be able to educate them. We used to have the Chamber of Commerce, remember that?
Right.
Now we don't have that anymore.
Right.
We got the Progress deal. So we're dealing with issues, but all of us are still at the table. We just need some good, strong leaders now that will be able to run for office.
We need somebody that's going to open a book.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
Yeah.
Because we got people that's just walking to the table with one issue. And one issue politics crucifies us all.
Yeah.
We have to have some people that says, well, if we do this way, how does it affect this group and this group and this group? You know, how does it affect business and the merchants that produce the product for the business and sold down? They don't look at that. They just look at one entity.
Yeah.
And we got to get away from that. I mean, you know, we live in a fake society. That's what I call America, a fake society. And you ask me why? It's real quick.
Well, the swamp. We're in the swamp right now.
Well at least you call it a swamp. I call it a fake society.
We're going to break right at this point, and you got to come back.
Okay.
Sounds good? Okay, good. Here we go, folks. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
I guess I gave him a teaser.
No, that's it.